Hello? Testing. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay. There you go. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Getting some thumbs up. There was some iffy. You're not sure, Emily Young? She's not sure if she can hear me. If we could ask you to start to take your seats. For those in the hall, if we could get you to join us. Airplane mode, yes. Very important, airplane mode. Thanks, everyone. And there's agendas at the door. Hopefully everybody got a copy. Great. A few more in the hall. No audio in the Boxcast. There's a slight delay in the Boxcast. Yeah. We give it a second. Keep murmuring. Testing. 1, 2, 3, 4. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? He's at the ready. No audio in the Boxcast. Can you hear me now on the Boxcast? In Boxcast land. Should be here. Let's see. What do they said it's resolved? Thanks. Okay. They have audio now? Okay. Just delayed a little bit. Okay. Could ask everyone to take their seats. Come on in from the hall. Get this show on the road. Sound is good. Wow, things are improving. I told you guys we're on the right track here. All right. With that, you know who.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. So, for anybody who doesn't know who I am, my name is Pam, and I am pleased to be your host today to bring a shtickle of mirth and joy to these proceedings. But I cannot do this alone. So I would like to introduce Isaac Beal. Isaac?
Willkommen, bienvenue, welcome. Fremde, étranger.
Listen, if you're gonna embarrass yourself, do it thoroughly.
Glücklich zu sehen, je suis enchanté. Happy to see you, bleibe reste stay. Willkommen, bienvenue, welcome. Adat shalom, adat shalom, adat shalom. My Damen und Herren, Mesdames and Messieurs, ladies and gentlemen, guten Abend, bonsoir, good evening. Wie geht's? ¿Cómo se va? Do you feel good? Yeah, I bet you do. Adat Shalom, annual meeting. I am your host und sagen willkommen, bienvenue, welcome. Adat Shalom, Adat Shalom, Adat Shalom.
Are you having fun yet? Thank you. Okay, so we will begin with a welcome and a call to order by El Presidente, Mark Kleppau, and the amazing interim executive director, Kathy Stevens.
And following that up, we got the Rabbi's Blessing by the Rabbi.
Yeah, I don't know. Hold on a minute. Oh, wait a minute. I don't know where we go from there, Kathy.
Pizza?
Not yet. Tough act to follow. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the annual meeting, and thank you for being here. This afternoon's annual meeting is not only an opportunity for us to fulfill our governance responsibilities, but also to reflect on where we are as a community and to look ahead for the year to come. We have important business before us, including reports on the state of the congregation, election plans, and our future. We'll recognize those who've made extra contributions to the shul. We'll give some President's Awards, and we'll recognize our outgoing board members for their outstanding contributions. We'll remember those we lost this year, and we'll have some lighter moments too. And then we'll have pizza. Before we begin, I want to take a moment to thank everyone, all members of the community, all congregants, all our volunteers, all our clergy, all our staff, all our leaders who have contributed so much to Adat Shalom over this past year. Our congregation continues to be sustained by the time, energy, generosity, and commitment of so many people, and we're grateful for all of you. In that vein, I want to especially thank those who helped put this meeting together, and that includes our interim executive director, Kathy Stevens, who I think most of you have met at this point, but if you haven't, here she is.
I mean, I won't steal anyone's thunder. Whoops. And I totally broke the microphone. But just to say, everyone's been so welcoming to me, and I really appreciate the welcome that the staff has given me, the board, and the whole congregation. And we are working a mile a minute to take care of some things, and we're working hard on that. And I look forward to continuing to do that with everyone.
Thank you, Kathy. Thank you.
Redo that.
Thank you, Kathy. Thank you for the challenge that you've taken on here. With that, let's get into it. It's my honor to call the 2020. Yes. Uh-huh.
Please have a seat for now. Thank
Okay.
you. Okay. Ready? Be-li-di-di-di.
New members,
Be-li-di-di-di.
new members.
Be-li-di-di-di.
They're all that matter to us.
Be-li-di-di-di.
We like them.
Be-li-di-di-di.
We'll find them.
Be-li-di-di-di.
Those new members.
Now, I'm going to do your work for you. Is that okay? I would like to invite up Lisa Maxstein, and she will do the official welcome of our new members. And finally, what?
Rabbi's prayer.
Oh. Please do not shun me. Please.
I told you there'd be moments of levity. Okay, it's yeah, really. It's my pleasure to call the meeting to order. It's a disorder, right? You should all have the agenda. And now it's my pleasure to welcome Rabbi Scott to the bima for a blessing.
To be perfectly fair, I can't remember what page we're on generally, so I feel like it's totally right. Just because the prayers are written in my heart, that's what I want to say. Okay. This isn't the blessing I was intending to give, but let me start anyways. May our year be filled with the joie de vivre of an Isaac Beale and a Pam Summers. I'm not kidding. I really hope that we have that sense of joy and love in our hearts. I ask for the source of blessing, for the river that runs through the center of this world, for the progenitor of our souls to bless us to find our way. I will tell you that there is always a way, even though it may not always seem like that there is one. The Talmud teaches us that the Torah is like water. In Masechet Tanit, it says what it means is that just like water, from a high place, it will always find its way into a low place, and it will go without anyone ever being able to change it or to stop its path. And what that reminds us on a deep level is that even in the difficult times that we had, that there is a way, even if we can't see it in a particular moment. All we have to do is follow the current and follow the flow, and we will find ourselves in the place that we ought to be. The way we do it, of course, is up to us, and it requires that strange blend of accountability, of seriousness, of profound lack of seriousness, of holiness, and once again, Eirik Zigbield's somewhat muddled French-Brazilian accent that he presented at the beginning here. Sorry, that was out of love for Isaac as opposed to criticism. But my blessing for all of us is that our article of faith be that we can find our way if only we allow ourselves to be pulled by the current in the direction of the good. May this meeting be for the good for all of us.
Well, I'm just going to take it off. Okay. Okay. All right. So I am here. I'm going to take it off. I am here on behalf of the membership committee. Reed Dewey, who's the chair, wasn't able to make it tonight. And I happily report to everybody, I was asked to gather information about new members. Since October 2025, we have 52 new members. I don't know if that's probably a combination of singles and families. I don't know the ratio. But since October 24th to September 25, we had 53 new members. So in the last year and a half, it's a total of 105 new members. And I want to welcome all the new members who are remote and also any new members, and I would say within the last 2 years, if you've joined, could you stand and introduce yourself? And I'm not sure, let's see, wonderful. Okay. Good.
I guess I'm the only new member here right now, but yeah, Dan Arbel, we joined, Sarit and I, my wife and I, just over a year ago, and we love it here, and thank you all for welcoming us, and we look forward to many more years. Thanks.
Thank you. Are there any others? Oh, yeah, great. Oh, there's a number of them out there. Okay, great.
Hi, I'm Deborah Peoples, and this is my husband Lou, who speaks for himself, Krupnik. And we joined about 6 months ago. We have been coming for quite a long time. We were very inspired by Rabbi Scott to join and had been looking for a home. And so we have many friends among this congregation, people that we already adore. So we're hoping to find our way.
Yes, in general, I'd just like to say we hope that we found a new community.
Welcome.
Hi, I'm Dee Herman, have lots of friends here, joined last high holidays, and I'm very happy to be a new member of this wonderful congregation.
And any others? Well, welcome all of you, and we'll look forward to spending time and knowing you better. You're welcome.
Thanks, Lisa. Okay. Something more serious now. Thanks everybody for gathering this afternoon. Thanks for gathering this afternoon. Can you hear me okay? Okay. What is the state of Adat Shalom? How are we really doing as a community? When synagogue leaders talk about the health of a synagogue, they tend to focus on the balance sheet and the database. Membership, cash on hand, fundraising. Based on those metrics, Adat Shalom is succeeding, and succeeding wildly. We have 440 member units at last count. That's up 10%. Shabbat service attendance is up. First Fridays are consistently sold out. High holiday services drew more people than at any time since we've been at Persimmon Tree Lane. Our adult education programs are full. I was here this morning, there were 4 overlapping sets of programs. And still, this afternoon, all of you are here. The metrics are just as strong in the children's wing. Almost 100 children in Limmud. Next year, we will celebrate double-digit Bar Mitzvahs from this bima. And we have robust classes coming up behind them. Financially, we're on very solid ground. We've run consecutive year surpluses. We have over $3 million in cash in the bank. We own this property, we own these grounds. On an equity basis, we have over $6 million. This year, thanks in very large part to the hard work of Lauren Beal, we had over $500,000 in donations. By every traditional metric, we are charting in the right direction. But a sacred community is not measured solely by the bank accounts or the spreadsheets. Health could also be measured by our tangible progress. This year, we pushed forward on some major structural goals. First and foremost, we successfully hired a second rabbi. On August 1st, for the first time in 5 years, we'll have 2 full-time clergy again at Adat Shalom. We completed significant building improvements. We rebuilt the MPR downstairs. We restored the ponds. We modernized the social hall. And we did a half dozen other smaller infrastructural changes. We've taken the first step towards long-term building and grounds planning. We've made security improvements. Our membership team has built bridges across generations. We completed the Humash evaluation, and this summer we'll have a new Humash. We ran our first congregational retreat in 5 years. And we're on the cusp of modernizing our bylaws. These are major accomplishments. They reflect a congregation that is functioning, planning ahead, and looking towards the future. But we also acknowledge that building improvements and the number of events that we've had don't capture the full story to the answer to the question, what is the state of Adat Shalom? The true health of Adat Shalom is measured also by intangibles, our relationships, our sense of belonging, our sense of trust. And it must be acknowledged that in 2026, we've experienced some stress in that area. Some significant stress, some anxiety, and some sadness over the last few months. From outside these walls, we're all carrying the anxieties of anti-Semitism, the war in Israel, the political polarization of our world, uncertainty about the future of American life, American Jewish life, and the future of our own movement. Within these walls, there has been more. I want to speak plainly about this. Our lay leadership structures struggled to address the deteriorating situation in the office earlier this year. The issues between professionals and members. We lacked the infrastructure and policies and committees with experts needed to meet the challenges effectively. We were not transparent enough. When the situation exploded, we did not communicate effectively enough, and we did not react quickly enough. As your president, I take responsibility for those shortcomings. We learned lessons about communication and the necessary speed of communications. We learned lessons about openness and transparency. The board has since moved to rectify these shortcomings with regular updates, better meeting notices, engaging the community without defensiveness. There will always be more to learn. We cannot be measured by perfection because it's not an attainable standard. The standard we should be measured by is whether we're listening and open to change. We hired Rabbi David Teutsch. He presented us with a report. It was painful to read. It was painful because it talked about us as individuals, as a community, and about people we love. Facing it required courage. I'm not here to debate the report. The report gives us a blueprint for how to move forward, and we are embracing it without defensiveness. What Rabbi Teutsch presented us with ultimately is a choice that we have to make as a community now, which is whether or not we're ready and willing and able to turn the page to the next chapter. Reasonable people can disagree about what happened and decisions made, and we respect those disagreements. Those disagreements are quite healthy. The fact that you're disagreeing and expressing yourself is not a threat. It's a sign of how much we all care about this place. Passion is the lifeblood of Adat Shalom. The enemy is not opposing views, it's indifference. I want to invite you to turn that page now into the new chapter. When we write a new chapter, we have to learn from the past and execute on a plan, but also we have to be willing to turn that page. It's an act of will. As an institution, we cannot spend the next 6 months relitigating what happened or looking for fault. Our task is to build the new chapter together. The question is not what we did, but what we will do as we move forward. This is a moment of opportunity to focus on healing and focus on what unites us. Moving forward, I want to talk about 3 priorities. The first is supporting our clergy and staff. When our clergy and staff succeed, we succeed. It's that simple. I'm not talking about applause after an event is completed as an acknowledgement of the help. I'm talking about real support on the bima, in the office, within the broader community. A cohesive team requires structure, policies, expectations, feedback, and a culture of transparency and teamwork. Kathy has come into our office and made significant strides already. We must make Rabbi Ariana's transition a smooth transition over this summer. We must give her time to acclimate. We must support her development and empower her to do great things. And we must give Rabbi Scott every opportunity to succeed here. He has amazing qualities, and he's human, and he has things to work on. And only he can work on them. And we will hold him to account. But that's not the end of our responsibility. Our responsibility are to create the conditions that allow him and us to thrive as a community of clergy, staff, lay leaders, and mutual trust. That is the work that we all have to do. Part 2, empowering our volunteer culture. We must reestablish our owner-member model. Let me speak plainly about this too. We have not done enough to harness the incredible power in this room and in this community. We have allowed that model that built Adat Shalom to atrophy in the name of expediency. The pendulum has swung too far to one side. and now it must swing the other way. The future of Adat Shalom depends on our members taking ownership. What do I mean by this? I don't mean everybody sign up for a committee and do whatever you want. What I mean by this is that we move forward by reinvigorating our committee structure, our Hugim model, where relationships between staff, clergy, and lay leaders are well defined, where every committee that starts has a mission statement, has a staff liaison, has a board representative who's responsible for seeing it through, where there's a covenant that describes the work of the committee as we shift back towards a community of community ownership. Part 3, sustainable growth. Finally, and most importantly, we need to see the forest through the trees. We're not immune, notwithstanding how special a place this is, we're still not immune from broader trends in the Jewish community. We've arrested a decade of membership decline and reversed it, but there is still more work to do. Growth is not just a numbers game. It's about ensuring that every family, every prospective new member who walks into our doors doesn't just attend, doesn't just sign up, doesn't just become a member, doesn't just pay dues. It's about the feeling of belonging. Every welcome matters. Every relationship matters. Every interaction all of us have with prospective new members and new members matters. We all have a role to play. So you asked me the state of Adat Shalom, and I would say success is not measured by how much money we have in the bank or whether or not there's a new floor in the Oneg room, although those are nice things to have. Success is whether or not you are finding spiritual growth, whether or not you are finding connection, whether or not you are finding sacred purpose in this place, within these walls. And the fact that you're here, by the way, I've been to a few annual meetings, this may be the best attended. The fact that you're here, and that you were here this morning, and that you were here yesterday, answers that question. How do we succeed in the future? We face the choice. This is the moment of opportunity. Put aside grievances. Be open to healing. Focus not on what divides us, but what can unite us again. This is an opportunity to turn the page. Thank you for being part of the next chapter of Adat Shalom. May it be our strongest chapter yet.
Money makes the world go around, the world go around, the world go around.
Money makes the shul go around. It makes the shul go round. A mark, a yen, a buck, or a pound, a buck, or a pound, a buck, or a pound.
Is all that makes the shul go around.
That clinking, clanking sound can make the shul go round. Budget.
I think I'm about to introduce a following that deficit in addition to the actual budget deficit. Yeah. All right. I'll slouch a little bit. That'll work. All right, good. Hello, everyone. My name is Andrew Leach. I am your treasurer. This is our 26-27 finance presentation. So before I get started, a lot of people to thank here. Our finance committee from the past year was hugely valuable to me. On a personal note, you did not elect me as your treasurer. I stepped into this role less than a year ago. Our last treasurer, Murray, left the congregation over the summer. I stepped in on somewhat short notice, leaned heavily on these folks on this finance committee to effectively do this job. So thank you to all of them, some of whom are in this room, some are not. Everybody played a huge role. Some other folks to thank, Steve, Jesse, Carol, former sort of Adachelum finance folks who have reached out over the last couple of weeks as this job has become a lot harder. Really appreciate the assistance all this time. Okay, so let me start with a big picture. Let me start with a bottom bullet point there. The health of the synagogue at the moment is quite strong. Our balance sheet is very good. We have over $3 million in the bank. Things are great. That's not the whole story, though. So, from a budget standpoint, this fiscal year, the previous board approved a budget with about $160,000 worth of deficit. This is not uncommon in charitable organizations to have a deficit from a projection standpoint. Part of it is we don't really know what fundraising is going to look like year to year. This particular year, led by the efforts of Lauren Beal, we had a very strong fundraising year. So despite starting with a deficit of $160,000, adding an additional $100,000 of spend by the board, which happened earlier this year to repair the ponds and some other things, we're going to come out of this year with a surplus of about $200,000. So despite, on paper, some deficits, we ended up coming out ahead, which is great. It's a story of fundraising primarily. It's also a story of reduced costs in some cases, primarily staffing, which has been, as we've seen in our community, a source of some discomfort for all of us, right? We've been understaffed for the last year and longer. But that translates onto the balance sheet in the form of a surplus, which is terrific. So yeah, like I said, we've had a couple of projected deficit years in a row. This year is going to be no different. The board approved a budget for 26-27 with a deficit of $350,000, give or take. Now, that is a heavy headline number, but there's a few things that go into it. Go ahead and flip. Thanks. So we're being conservative on the revenue side. We've also got quite a bit of uncertainty on the revenue side. The board chose to raise dues by about 5%, which is a modest increase, mostly covering inflation. We projected some amount of fundraising. We actually backed off of our fundraising goals a little bit. This year was a very strong year for fundraising. We're producing a surplus with those fundraising dollars. We hope to continue that energy into next year. So between those trends, we hope to sort of overcome this budget deficit that's on paper right now. So here's sort of the year-to-year comparison. For the most part, this is just sort of, we're seeing inflation in these numbers. We're also seeing an additional rabbi. That's sort of the biggest difference in expenditure. The other sort of major change year to year is consultants. So we had to hire Rabbi Teutsch to run his report. We're also going to need to hire a HR consultant to build out some of these staff policies that we're talking about. All that goes into these numbers. Go ahead. So despite all of that, in different years in the sort of life cycle of a nonprofit, you have some years that are more cash rich, some where we're sort of drawing from savings. This may be a year where we need to sort of dip into savings a little bit. It's also a year where we're going to be building sort of capacity to fundraise, to be more efficient with things. But the bottom line is, for 1 year, we can handle this level of deficit. The goal is not to go forward with these indefinitely, but for 1 year, it's sort of okay to do that. Breaking down, excuse me. Within our numbers, we have a fair amount that's just sort of free and clear reserves. We have other dollars, including the endowment, which are restricted to certain uses. We have donations that people have given over the years to go towards specific purposes. The thought is to be a little more efficient with how we use some of those dollars than has been in the past. Yeah. Oh, let's go forward one and I'll come back to that. Questions? Yeah, so questions? Yes.
What is the fund for the study of the Jewish American experience?
So that is one of our endowed funds. Endowment, yeah. So there are 3 funds that are part of the endowment. There's the Fund for the Future, which is sort of the broad endowment, and then there are 2 additional named funds, which were large gifts to the synagogue, which fund programming every year. There's specific rules about sort of what types of programming they can fund. We're very thankful for them.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask real quick. There's a lot of money that's in CDs instead of being in investments where we're making more money on that. Why is that?
Yeah, so that's a great question. It's risk versus return. So all of the fixed income instruments that the synagogue owns, they're all FDIC insured. We probably could get a better return if we bought some Bitcoin or some stocks or something, but. Oh, it is in the Schwab account. It's inside the Schwab account. You're talking about the Bank of America CDs. Yeah. So we probably could be a little more aggressive between what's allocated in the Schwab account versus the Bank of America. Yeah, that's a decent point. There isn't a very good reason for that. So I'll tell you the Bank of America savings that we get. It's not quite as good as the rate we're getting in the Schwab account, but it's not bad. It's 3 and change versus 4 and change. It takes a couple of days to transfer between the Schwab account and the Bank of America account, so there's some amount of trade-off there. But I mean, you're right. We could probably operate that a little leaner.
All right, I'm gonna kind of zigzag my way back. All right,
let's go over here.
Thank you. I had heard rumors, which I don't know to what extent they're true, that there has been talk about putting an addition or doing other modifications to the building. And I just wondered if there's an ongoing building fund and if new members contribute to a building fund or how that relates to the dues structure.
So there is a building fund, a capital fund. Under the previous dues structure, the setup was sort of when you joined, you paid into that fund for the first few years of membership. That went away a few years ago. We still have the fund as restricted dollars, as sort of earmarked within the other assets that we have. We're using them for various building repairs. Yeah. Oh, for sure. If there's going to be an addition, we'll need to raise more money to do that. Yeah. The thought, we're obviously not going to start the addition this year, but before we begin a major renovation, there would need to be a capital campaign. Yes.
I know we had a couple different preschool type programs attempt to operate. I think COVID killed one of them, but I think significant improvements were made to meet the requirements for those ventures. Is that something worth pursuing again? I don't know if that is a money maker or a money loser for the congregation.
Yeah, it is. It's an interesting thought. So the building we had to do some renovations for the preschool. There's other things that we would have to do sort of organizationally if we were going to begin drawing in funds of that kind. organizationally right now, we're not a nonprofit, we're a religious organization, and so we have to be sort of careful about our revenue. If we start opening up businesses, that's, we can't just kind of do that on the fly. We need to be a little more thoughtful about that. And so there's a few groups that rent from us regularly. There's a church that comes in on Sundays. There's a music organization that does rehearsals. They pay us for the space for the time, but it's just a donation to the congregation. It's not like a rental contract or anything like that.
I heard something about a staff member being let go as a way of saving money. Can you say anything about that?
No staff members were let go to save money, no.
No, I mean in the year to come. Is there a plan for that?
There is no plan to fire anybody.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, in fact, we're hiring people. Yeah, yes. We have an open rec for.
So it says here that the membership dues and assessments is lower than the budget, and I just wonder why did that happen if we've had an increase in membership?
So the biggest driver is partial year. So those financials are only through Q3. So we have more dues coming in. There a number of people pay sort of throughout the year. There's some folks like me who write a big check at the beginning of the year. There's other folks who pay monthly. So part of that is the number is actually higher today than it is on that form. Part of it's also things happen, right? I mean, people say they're going to join and pay full dues, and then they get hit by a car and we have to adjust, right? I mean, I don't know. Right. There's changes in plans. Yes. Yes.
So the endowment is indicated as being restricted, I believe. How is it restricted?
Yeah. So let me actually spend a minute talking about the endowment because I had a slide for it, and then I just kind of blew right past it. So that's my bad. So the endowment was created. That's my slide for the endowment. Yeah. There's a nice tree on there. Sorry. All right. Light on numbers, more of a vibes thing. So the endowment was created a number of years ago with some very fine work from a lot of the people in this room. There was a lot of energy around the endowment when it was first created, and then it sat sort of dormant for a couple of years, which is not unexpected because the primary way you fund an endowment is through bequests. So the thought is members who love the synagogue can leave something behind for the synagogue when they're no longer with us. Over the last 3 or 4 years, the endowment has grown substantially. So today, it's almost $800,000 all in between the various funds. 3 years ago, it was like $300,000. So there's been quite a bit of growth lately. We're hugely thankful for it. If you are interested in helping with the endowment, Victor Katz would love to hear from you, and so would I. Victor's done a great job chairing the endowment committee over the last couple of years. I know we're not campaigning, but I hope you'll consider voting for him for treasurer, as he's the only nominee. But he's a great guy. In any event, so what the endowment does, it's a large reserve of cash. Every year, we distribute 5% from those dollars to support programming at the synagogue. So this year, it's a great number. It's about $26,000.
In many spiritual communities, where they choose to bank with and where they choose to invest is to try to do it in sync with their own ethos. The two main sources where you're banking with right now are not known for their either focus on sustainability or the fact that they are contributing to the current regime. Has the board looked at alternatives?
We have not. Candidly, we just have not. It's worth talking about, though. That's a fair question.
Hi. Questions I've always had is, in our projections and budgeting, do we have a number of new members we expect to bring in or hope to bring in, and the projection on members we expect to lose through various reasons? And is that number public? Is there a way of sharing that information?
So we have some projections on those numbers. They're not public, but be happy to share what we have. That is an area where, if I can be a little candid, when we began going into the budget process in sort of October, November, December, the plan was very much to get better, more granular numbers on those kinds of things. And then when the actual working of the budget process began in February, March, and April, things were a little bit different. And the bandwidth that we would love to have spent on those things ended up being spent on other things. So we have some of that thinking. We would love to do more of that in future budgets, but yes. So the question was, can we use?
Yeah, just, I think I'm not the only one, and I don't want, obviously I want to respect the integrity and the privacy dimensions, but I think it would be helpful if all of us understood that in our thinking, we project this kind of growth and this kind of attrition, not as a goal or demand, but as part of our understanding the budgeting of our community.
Yes, I agree. I will, just to add, I will say that in particular the attrition factor this year was just unknowable when we were working on it. Unknowable. This is a unique time.
Hi. I'm just trying to get a little understanding and clarity around, I guess, the programming and community services expenditures bucket of money. I work with the choir, and there are some expenses. We pay an accompanist, and we pay for music. And it seems like every year there's I get a different response. There's no money to pay the accompaniment, or we're running out of money, or I just, there used to be clergy discretionary funds where money, Rabbi Rachel would contribute to expenses from that. I know people that contribute money specifically for music. I never know what happens to that money. I'm just trying to understand, how that all works.
It's a great question, and it is one that I am very pleased to say we were able to answer in this budget. So the budget that I showed up on the screen is just just bottom line numbers. The details of it, we included $8,000 for music-related choir, accompanist, all those expenses. So it is a priority in this budget. We love it. We want it to continue.
Okay. All right, this is a kind of technical thing. I almost want to get the sense of the congregation. And this deals with our investments that we're having at Schwab. I expect they're putting in an index fund.
So
I don't know how they're, okay.
I'm happy to talk about all that.
All right.
So our investments at Schwab, the main sort of community account that's about $1.3 million is a mix of FDIC-insured CDs and non-sweep money market. So everything is government-backed, right? It's CDs, treasuries.
Okay, so it's not in any kind of stocks or any investments?
The main Schwab account, not in any kind of stocks. Now, the endowed accounts, those are in a blend of stocks and bonds. The equity component of the stocks, it's mostly broad market index funds. About 70% of the account in most cases is those stocks. There's a little bit of more actively managed ETFs. They're not true actively. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, the reason I'm raising this, Elon Musk just came up with a new company, SpaceX, and it's very, very high value. He also did something that was very interesting. Usually when you enter a new company, from a private company to a public company, it's not part of the major indexes, 500, S&P 500, okay. he somehow influenced the indexes to absorb them immediately, beginning right now, which means that if we have money in an index fund, we are buying funds, his stocks in his new company, and that is increasing the value of his company. Nobody knows what the actual value is. He made up a value. All right. So I would prefer to ask Schwab not to put the money in any index that includes him for at least the first year. I don't want to support him. This is a very personal. He, by the way, is the one that got my daughter fired from USAID.
So I am being given the hook here. Do we have time for one more?
Yeah, why don't we, sorry to do that. Why don't we do one more,
I've
whoever
been
Ken gets to.
I've been sitting here
And then
with
we'll have time in the, we'll have time in pizza land for, oh, somebody already has the mic. Mim has the mic.
Yes,
right?
I
have the mic, but
Let's
this
let
always
Mim-
seems
let's
to
let
happen
Mim
to me.
go,
So.
Is this
then
on?
David, and then we're gonna move, push it. We're gonna push ahead, and Andrew will be available all evening. I'm
I will
sure,
talk your ear off on float adjustments for indexes. That's happy to
Is this
talk
on?
about that.
Yes, it is. I don't know if you're the right person to be asking this. It may be members of the board, other members of the board, but one of the things I've never understood, to follow up really on Lisa's question, is do we have a line item budget? And if not, why not? And to what extent does the congregation get input into determining the relative allocations to different priorities? For example, I've always been wondering, how do you decide how much to allocate to Limud? What are we doing to attract and retain good teachers? And similarly with the choir, what are we doing to make sure that we're not just discretionary, that we're built in and that there is a budget for us?
Yeah. You do the Limud part. I'm going to do the choir piece. Okay. Yeah. Good. So the Limud part specifically is more of a pass-through than part of the budget. It is in the budget.
It's a pass-through.
A pass-through. It's in the budget, but for the most part, Limud-related expenditures are offset by Limud-related revenue. So it kind of sorts itself out. I think the teachers we have are the ones we can get. They're enthusiastic and we love them.
I just wanted to say, because I think this is relevant. This year, I think this is the first time that this happened. I asked Lisa to submit a budget for the choir so that it could be included in the budget of Adat Shalom. So one of the things that we're trying to move from is from a situation in which these things are a little bit haphazard, or sort of like how you feel in every given moment, which I think contributes to sort of the up and down nature of these things, as opposed to not really a more rigorous, but just a more standard process in which these are the expenses, and then we know that we're going to have these expenses. There's not questions. And I think that that's largely what we're pursuing across the board, rather than sort of a, well, what do we got in the bank today? We're going to be more planful about these things.
There's David and Jeff both really want this one.
I'll give it to Jeff.
You got to pass the mic if you're going to do it.
Well, I don't know if this is even for the Finance Committee, it's for the board as a whole, but so you said before there's this deficit, we can take care of it, but we don't want it to continue for too long. So what is the plan for reducing that deficit? Does it mean cutting programming or cutting certain areas, spending less money, or what is the plan for that?
Yeah, so I think there are ways in which we could be a little more efficient on the spend side, but the reality is everything is more expensive now than it was 5 years ago, most notably staff. And if we want robust programming, we have to pay robust dollars for it. That can't all come from dues increases, and so we need a plan for how we're going to do the rest of it. Some of that's grants, some of that's fundraising, but that, yeah.
A fair question, and one of the things that I think... Can we just say thank you again to Andrew Leach for what he's done? So one of the things that you should just, as people know, is that Adat Shalom at certain stages has, especially for younger families, this is not the technical term for it because a progressive due structure means something else, but dues start at a lower amount and they increase over the years. So when we have new members, it actually takes about 3 to 4 years for us to realize the full financial potential of what those members mean to us over time. And it does make sort of some of these calculations a little bit more wonky in terms of like, we could put on 15 new members in Limud, but it's going to be 4 years until they're paying what everybody else is paying. So it just makes some of the calculations a little bit more nuts. But I think that the next move that we do need to do is to figure out how we're not deficit spending and making sure that there's a path towards to the future, which is something that I think we brought up for the first time last year in terms of making sure that we're always at parity, hopefully without increasing dues much more, because times is tough. It's not easy for people. So thank you for the question. Okay.
This didn't go well for me last time.
Bye, old board members. Farewell, old board members. It was a fine tenure, but now it's over. And though you used to care, you need the open air. Adat will miss our old board members. Neil Maxine, he will do the presentation for outgoing board members.
But before Neil does that, and while Neil gets up here, can I borrow you? Actually, Neil, I need you anyway. We're gonna do the President's Award first. Do you mind coming up here with me? Come on up here. Yeah, come on up here. It's lonely up here. And could I actually ask you? So I'm going to announce the President's Award. I'll try to move a little faster. And if you could hand the awardees. Thank you. That's great. I appreciate you. One of the hardest things I think is to try to single anybody out in this community because so many people have contributed in so many ways. But this year we got around that by acknowledging groups of people. So, so 3 sets of President's Awards recipients, and because I know I'm going to get this question, I'm going to say it in advance. We don't award the President's Awards to board members. So I know board members participated in some of these things, but this is an opportunity to acknowledge others, and then you'll talk about board members. So the first set of President's Awards go to the Search Committee. Who this year took on the extraordinary task of searching for and successfully finding a second rabbi, Rabbi Ariana Koptauber, for us. We all know the challenges in this day and age in finding pulpit rabbis to serve our communities. And so this is not a put out a call and wait for the resumes to come in exercise. This is also about closing, and they closed. So and when I call your name, if you'd come up, please, and Neil will give you your certificate. Simi Berman. Let me read all the names, and then I'll. Jen Feinlieb. Gil Rosen. Keep clapping, yeah. Jen Rosenbaum. Harriet Sugarman. There's Harriet. Clint Walcott. And last, and certainly not least, Beth Sperber Ritchie. Jen, don't go far, because the second set of awardees, President's Award, are those who participated in our Humash committee. 3 years ago, you may remember we were calling out page numbers from Old and New Plout. This year, a group of dedicated folks very thoughtfully looked at the available Humashim, studied them, worked with our clergy, worked with our community to get feedback and ultimately reach a selection. And sometime in August, we'll have new Humash. So, on that score, let me, Danny, Eitz Chaim. That's it. Don't you guys read the present? How many people read Hashavua? Come on. Danny Weitzner. David Saratsky. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm giving you these. Thank you. Ken Avner. Matt Beal. Jennifer Gold. Jen Gordon. Paula Lewis. Audrey Lyon. Another Gil Rosen. Danny Weitzner, I think I already said, sorry, and our indomitable leader, Dinah Leventhal. Thank you all. And the last President's Award, did I give you the wrong one? Uh-oh, we're going to sort that out. Check your name on your... Okay, now I saw, Dinah, I saw your name here. No? All right, we'll figure it out. Last but not least, we want to recognize the non-board members who joined the Kadima team. That's Phil Zippin, Lauren Amdursky, Jen Rosenbaum, again, and Deborah Fried-Levin. I had, Deborah, yours is here. I'm going to find yours. Yours? No, it's here. I saw it earlier. I'm sorry. This is my fault. This is my fault. There you go. There, yes, I knew we had one for you. Thank you, Deborah. Thanks to everybody. Congratulations to the award recipients, and thanks to everybody in the community who contributed in so many ways. And now I really am going to turn it over to Neil.
Mark and Lauren asked me to do this because I have not been on the board recently, 15 years, but not in the last 5. So I'm somebody that is representing all of you members in honoring the people that have been doing the work over the last few years. For those of you who don't know who I am, I'm Neil Maxstein. I get the honor of saying I'm the probably oldest Adat Shalom member, since I met Sid when I was 13. And he married Lisa and I when he was in rabbinical school, his first wedding. So when Sid and Sandy wanted to start Adat Shalom, they pulled us and another couple in, and Lisa and I were honored to sit in his backyard and figure out planning a service, which then became Adat Shalom. One of the things that I did want to say, though, about that is that when the 19 families in January of 1988 decided to hire Sid as our rabbi, everybody had a role. Everyone was volunteering for something. The board was everybody, because there were 19 families. And there was nobody that didn't have a committee. We kind of chose, with Sid's wisdom, who should do what. But in those days, volunteerism was pretty much 100%. And that was 1988. Over the years, you know, Lisa and I have been we're on the board for 15 years, but we've seen a lot of changes. One of the things that's from a distance that has happened, which Mark laid out pretty clearly, and David Teutsch talked about, and Rabbi Scott has talked about, is that we've professionalized so many functions, starting a lot with COVID, that the volunteerism has waned and kind of moved to the background. And I think with the wisdom from David and the wisdom from Scott and the current board and leadership, volunteerism is making a huge comeback. There is a lot of energy, a lot of volunteerism, a lot of people volunteering to be part of the leadership and especially on the board. What that has created, which I will get to now, is that there are 7 people who were on the board, were doing a huge amount of work, and are now finished with their service, currently anyway. They probably could make a comeback. But these 7 people have done yeoman's work, and Lauren and Mark and the rest of the board wanted to make sure they were recognized. So they asked me to do that. Since I have not been around, Lauren had to write these descriptions for me, which she very, very graciously did. So they're not my words, but I will volunteer to read them. The first person, and I guess if they're here, it would be great to stand up. I don't know if Ari Levin is here. There she, okay, good. So this is Lauren and Mark's description. Ari joined the board 4 years ago, already a mother of a toddler and 4 months pregnant with her second, at a moment when our community was finding its footing after 2 years of the pandemic. She served 3 years as our at-large member for Children, Youth, and Family Engagement, recruiting and retaining the young families who fill our Tot Shabbat, and building a real channel between the generation and this board. In her final year, she moved into the VP of Community Engagement role. She co-chaired the Rabbi Search Committee and helped develop the Chugim project that will launch this fall. She came to this work as a parent of a young child and leaves it having helped shape this community, what it looks like and feels like for the next generation of families. Thank you. The second person who is circling off of the board is Daniel Simkin. There's Daniel. Daniel joined the board this year as our at-large member for Children, Youth, and Family Engagement, and didn't wait long to make his mark. He picked up where Ari had left off, creating a Young Families Working Group to build a more structured way for young families to offer real feedback to staff, a practical, thoughtful contribution to how we listen to one another. He leaves the board rolling directly onto the Rabbi Search Liaison Committee, which tells you something about how much trust he's earned in a short time. The third person is Kate Whiting. Where's Kate? Okay. Oh, she is watching. So, Kate, listen carefully on Zoom or Boxcrop. Kate Whiting served 3 years as our at-large governance member. 3 years of deep, careful, often invisible work that made everything else possible. She led a comprehensive review of our bylaws in preparation for future revisions that will shape the congregation governance for years to come. Anyone who has spent time with our bylaws knows there is important work ahead. Kate did the hard work of keeping this board grounded and thoughtful throughout a demanding year. The groundwork she laid is foundational, and this community is better positioned for the future because of it. Thank you. Next is Jane Feldman, who I think is here. Right? Jane served as the Vice President of Personnel and Administration, a role that is genuinely demanding, that operates largely through the scenes, behind the scenes, and that requires navigating some of the most sensitive work a board can take on. She worked to bring more institutional rigor into the personal space, including introducing 360 reviews for senior staff. She served for 3 years and was involved in significant moments in our institutional life, including supporting the search that brought Rabbi Scott to us, and the process that will bring our oncoming associate rabbi very soon. Thank you. Next is Jacob Feinstein. Feinspan. He's here, right? There he is. Jacob came to the board after a year on the Finance Committee, which gave him a running start. As VP of Programming, he helped develop the Chagim project alongside Ari, served as one of the leads for last year's community meeting, and kept a particular and consistent eye on bringing the goals of that meeting into the actual institutional priorities. He brought energy, wisdom, and follow-through to everything he touched. Thank you, Jacob. Next is Andrew Leach, who I know is here. Andrew stepped into the role of treasurer under circumstances that would have daunted most people. When our previous treasurer departed and the community needed someone to step up immediately. He brought rigor, precision, and genuine humility to everything he touched. In a transition moment that could have created real instability, he personally took over payroll to make sure every member of our staff was taken care of. That is exactly the kind of quiet, steady leadership that holds a community together when things are hard. Andrew will continue to serve the community on the Endowment Committee. Thank you. And last but not least is Ariel Ribeiro. Is Ariel here? No? Okay. Hopefully Ariel is also listening on Boxcraft. Ariel served 2 years as our secretary and joined the board as a longtime member of our community who cares deeply about this congregation and the Jewish people. She brought genuine passion to the board's conversations, particularly around youth education, Israel, and the challenges of anti-Semitism in our current moment. These are not easy topics to raise or to hold, and she raised them with conviction. We are grateful for her voice and for the 2 years she gave to this work. Thank you, Ariel. So thank you to all of you. Those are the 7 people who are currently leaving their roles, continue in other roles, some of them, but thank you so much for your time and effort. And thank you, Lauren, for describing them.
This is one of my less happy responsibilities as the rabbi of the synagogue. But we want to remember a number of members who died in the past year and a half, who have left big holes in this community, the memory of whom is with certain members of our community always, but who deserve to be recognized with love now. The first was Henry Plotkin, a longtime member of the community whose daughter, a rabbi, Rabbi Helen Plotkin, wrote me of his love and appreciation for Adat Shalom as he died. The second was Jeff Chayet, friend and loved one to many, who passed away in the winter of 25, and who leaves truly a gaping hole in the hearts of many, many Adat Shalomers who knew him well. Sue Driesen, the wife of our equally beloved George Driesen, passed away this year, B'Seva Tova, at a ripe old age, at home, surrounded by loved ones, as the community came together to support Rabbi George in his loss. After many, many years of illness, we recognize the loss of Stuart Baum, Noah Baum's husband, who I first met here on First Fridays, and whose Silver Spring home I was able to come to see what a person who was confined to a wheelchair was able to do with the glory of his garden. Neil Goldenberg, a quiet, modest man who literally changed the world, mostly from space, was lost to us early this fall. Charlotte Baer, a partner of Mike Baer, relative newcomer to our community, but who helped organize the book club here, was lost. A longtime member of the community, sorry. All right. And last is Simon Tracy Curtis. Simon, who was not Jewish, but somehow was not only a member of Adat Shalom, but the treasurer for the synagogue that he left years ago in Connecticut when they moved here, who served the Jewish people with faith, and I think would be a bit surprised to realize that he had a Jewish funeral, but lived a profound and meaningful life. He was a master mariner, a captain of cargo ships before the bottom dropped out of that industry. Kiki, who may be watching on Zoom, his beloved wife, and his 3 adoring sons, we mourn with them. These are the members that we've lost in a short amount of time, and nothing can make up for their loss. May their memory be a blessing.
No, we're good. We'll share. Hi, I'm Steve. This is Jamie. And we're here to welcome. I'm Steve Shapiro. And you are?
Jamie.
And we are here to welcome nominations from the floor. The bylaws permit this. And we are going to go position by position and allow for people to self-nominate.
Or to nominate someone else.
Or to nominate someone else, which if you do, that person needs to be here. We're not speechifying. If you have anything that needs to be written, Jamie will address that in a minute.
Sure.
Yeah, we're going to go one by one.
Do you want a list in front? Do you want a list beforehand? Okay.
Okay.
Should we go through that?
So we're talking about the president, the secretary, the treasurer, vice president programming, vice president community engagement,
The Vice President of Personnel and Administration, the Vice President of Lifelong Jewish Learning, the Vice President of Development,
at-large strategy and communications, at-large children, youth, family, and engagement, at-large external relations,
at-large Tikkun Olam, at-large governance, and religious practices. And I just want to say there's been some questions about committees. The Vice President of Programming also serves as the Program Council Chair, so whoever is elected to that position will also chair the Program Council. The Treasurer also serves as Chair of the Finance Committee, and Religious Practices also serves as Religious Practices Committee Chair. So those 3 individuals, those 3 positions are also committee chairs. Well, I can't really speak too much about that, but as I understand, the Program Council Chair is the place where many of the other committees that are not board committees convene. But I can't say too much more. Okay. Yep.
So the normal process, everyone knows that there's been a nominating committee. This has been active for a few months. That's our traditional process. People can add their names, which we have a few people who have done, to compete with the proposed slate of nominees.
Well, I want to say one thing, actually.
Go ahead.
This year we did depart from convention. First of all, before we do that, I really want to recognize the members of the nominating committee who are here, because it's been an unusual year and we've all done above and beyond what we thought we were signing up to do. So I Shauna Wagger, our immediate past president, has been our chair. Unfortunately, she could not be here tonight due to urgent family matters in California. I believe the rest of the committee's here, so please stand as I say your names. Jacqueline Greenstein.
Oh, back in the back.
This is in the
Okay.
prior room.
Ben Schneider. Alex Trachtman. And Emily Young. And I want to say that the entire committee has taken as a very solemn responsibility this entire process. And throughout, we have tried to consider very thoughtfully and carefully what would be best for this congregation, with the aim of making the nominating process in the election transparent, democratic, and accessible. And so to what Steve was saying, we built in points all along the way for individuals to come forward. And as you were saying, the first point was to nominate yourself to be considered by the nominating committee for the slate. The second opportunity was to respond to the slate and to identify yourself as an alternate candidate to be included on the ballot. And this is the third possible on-ramp to the ballot. So we've created 3 opportunities. And because this was a sequenced set of steps, we decided to implement written statements as a uniform format throughout the process to ensure that candidates, regardless of when they came onto the ballot, would be given equal opportunity to present themselves to the congregation. And we set forth criteria for these statements, which did not change. We said that they had to be under 300 words, that they should include one's connection to Adat Shalom, one's credentials and experience for the position sought, and one's vision of what you would like to accomplish in the upcoming term. And anyone who comes to the ballot today from the floor will have the same option to submit a statement to me by 8 p.m. by email so that I can upload it to the ballot, and anyone who comes forward tonight will have the same opportunity to present themselves with a written statement. And we encourage everyone to read these statements, because the candidates have carefully told you who they are, why they're running, and what they hope to give to this congregation.
Could we acknowledge Jamie for a minute for the work that she put in? Can we move over to the national level, please?
And I want to thank Steve for helping me with this.
So nominations from the floor for president. Going once, going twice. Nominations from the floor for secretary. Treasurer. Vice president programming. Serves as program program council chair. Vice president for community engagement. Vice president for personnel and administration. Vice president for lifelong Jewish learning. Vice president for development. Nobody, huh?
I thought we'd be flooded with that one.
I know, really shocked. At large, strategy and communications. At large, children, youth, family engagement. At large, external relations. At large, Tikkun Olam. At large, governance. Religious practices, and serves as religious practices committee chair. Okay.
We've now completed nominations from the floor. Anyone want to take another shot? All right. Hearing none, nominations from the floor are now closed. And the final ballot that you received tonight by email, which we'll talk about in a minute, will be as you've seen already. Nothing new added. Okay. So now, thank you, Steve.
You're welcome.
Thanks
You want to
so
explain
much.
the process?
Yes, so I have the opportunity here now to introduce you to a new form of voting. We've moved into the digital age, finally. I think everybody knows that the election this year will be on an online platform called Election Buddy. And I've been given a few minutes to share that with you. Okay, first of all, I just want to assure you that this system is straightforward and secure and easy to use and widely used. And if you've ever clicked a link on an email, you're going to be able to use it no problem. The whole process will take only a few minutes, and it's a beautifully designed platform. I've tested it throughout this week, and everyone has reported positively. We're going to walk through the steps right now, and I'm going to show you step by step what you're going to see when you receive your email and open it, so it's going to familiarize you totally. We'll also talk at the end about how I'm going to be available all day tomorrow to help you if anyone has a problem. And I just want to make one request. I know there will be some questions. Please let me get through the presentation before you raise your hand, because many of the questions that you might have are going to be answered in the course of what I'm going to show you. Okay. So first of all, here's the key information. The election email is going to arrive in your inbox by 9 p.m. tonight, possibly earlier, now that we have no nominations from the floor. Voting is going to remain open until tomorrow, Monday, until 11:59 p.m., just short of midnight. Okay, don't wait till the last second, but anyway, so it will be open until tomorrow evening. The process is 3 steps, and this is how easy it is. You open your ballot, you make your selections, and you submit your vote. 1, 2, 3, open, vote, and submit. Okay, and now we're going to see what that looks like. So you're going to see this in your inbox, and you're going to see that the sender, I couldn't see the top line. The sender is Adat Shalom, and the subject line is Vote Now, Adat Shalom Reconstructionist Congregation Election Buddy. So you're going to see that, and you're going to click on it, and I promise it's safe to click on. I vouch for it. Okay, next slide. Okay, when you open the email, when you click on that link, you're going to see this message come up. And the important thing is this line here that's highlighted in green, okay? Every member has a unique link. Each member has one email loaded into the system. That email can only be used by one person. So when you see that email, you're going to click on the link and you're going to open it up. Now, one thing I want to point out, our bylaws permit proxy voting. And this was especially important when everybody had to come into the social hall and turn in a piece of paper, and if you couldn't be there at that exact moment, you had to empower someone else to vote for you. Given that everyone has an email, and that email is going to reach every member wherever they are, there are very few reasons, I won't say there's no reason, but there are few reasons why one might need to assign a proxy. But if for some reason one did need to do that, all you'd need to do would be to forward this email to whoever you want to vote for you. That's the proxy provision, okay? And I think as we begin to look at our bylaws regarding elections, assuming we're going to continue online, we may not need to have this proxy option anymore. Okay. Okay. Okay, perfect, perfect. So there are some reasons, and we allow for it here. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, and then it's time to vote. Okay, now this is just a tiny little sample of what, you have 2 races here to vote. And so you see what it looks like. Now I want to say that for every position, whether there's 1 candidate or we have 3 races where there are 2 candidates, you have the choice of either voting for a candidate or abstaining. You may not leave the race entirely blank. This is a check to make sure that someone doesn't accidentally miss a race. There are 14 positions listed. So for each one, you need to either vote for a candidate or abstain. If you try to submit your ballot without hitting some response for each race, it will tell you that you have to go back and fill out that position. There's no opportunity, there's no option to vote for the entire slate at once. You have to go race by race by race. I want to point out that you see the orange line that says information under the candidate's name? It'll be easier to see on your phone or on your computer. If you click on that, you'll see the candidate's statement. I have uploaded the statement for each individual. So you might have read them beforehand, but you don't have to worry about that. You can actually just click right there and compare. If there are two people, you can read both statements. Okay, I think that's all for that slide. You want to keep going through the ballot until you see this green button at the bottom that says continue, okay? This is the continue button will take you to the next slide, which says, which gives you the chance to submit. The continue button does not record your vote. The submit button records your vote, okay? When you get to this slide, you'll have a chance to review all of your selections. If you're unhappy with any of the selections, there's a edit button in the bottom left-hand corner. You'll go back. You can change any of your votes. Until you hit submit, your vote is not submitted and recorded. Once you do hit submit, your vote is submitted and recorded, and it cannot be changed. But up to that point, it can be changed by you. Okay. I think that's everything. Next, yeah. Once you submit that ballot, you will immediately see a screen on the left that says thank you. So you'll know the vote has been submitted. And then shortly, or almost instantaneously, you'll get an email receipt separately that looks like the one on the right. Both of them have a confirmation code. I can't go back and see how anybody has voted, but I can see if someone has voted. I wanted to back up and say we have paid additionally to have 3 observers from the congregation. Let me see if I remember. Carol Stern, Ben Schneider, and Phil Zippin are the 3 individuals who have access to this site only at the end. They were not able to see, like I cannot see, how anyone has voted, but they will be able to see all the votes that have been entered. They will be able to see any actions that have been taken by me, the administrator. So that's just, those are election observers to provide additional assurance in this process. And I think that's good. Next one. Okay. So we've both built in various opportunities for assistance. I'm holding office hours on Zoom tomorrow. I always wanted to have office hours. I will also be monitoring this elections@adatshalom.net email. Members of the nominating committee have graciously volunteered time to help me monitor that email if I become overloaded and need to forward requests. I really don't think there are going to be a huge number of problems. There will probably be a few questions. We also have a handout that will be available at the back that summarizes all the information that we sent out this week, the Big Megillah email that the nominating committee put out. That has been turned into a handout, so that will be at the back desk when you leave. And I just want to say one word about results. Next slide, please. I've set it up so that I will not know what is happening with this election until Tuesday morning, until midnight, and I'm not staying up till midnight. So Tuesday morning, assuming that I sleep well on Monday night, I will wake up and I will check and see what the results look like, and the observers will be able to do the same thing. What we plan to do is we plan to notify the candidates first of the results, and then we will notify the congregation. In the interest of transparency, and this, we've thought about this long and hard, about transparency versus care and kindness for everyone who's running, but in the interest of transparency, we've decided that it's important to report the results fully, so that we will report the number of votes that were cast and the number of votes that each candidate received, as well as the number of abstentions. We became aware just this week that under our bylaws, candidates must receive a majority of the votes cast in order to be elected, okay? This creates a situation where abstentions are going to be counted in the votes cast, and it is possible, I don't think it's likely, but it is possible that even in a two-person race, well, only in a two-person race. In a one-person race, it's irrelevant. In a two-person race, if there are a significant number of abstentions, it is possible that the person who has the most votes will not have won a majority of the votes cast. I don't think this will happen, but I just want to make the community aware of this because it is possible that we would have to have a runoff with the same two candidates, which seems silly, but in the runoff, there would not be an abstention option. So if you cast a vote, you'd have to choose one or the other. This, again, is a quirk in our bylaws, which doesn't really make sense, but we had several we sought legal counsel, and especially in this time of concern in our community, we did not want there to be any question about how someone is elected. So whoever is named a winner will have earned a majority of the votes cast. Yeah.
You could have more abstentions than votes for somebody. So
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
In a one-person race.
Yes, okay. In a one-person race, we will not be worried about that because you cannot have a runoff with one candidate, and we do not have the ability to recruit additional candidates at that point.
My husband never received the sample email, and I talked to you. I assume he's not the only person who's a member who didn't get an email, but I just want to, I can't go home without an answer to that.
Yeah. Did I write back to you asking you about, I wrote back to everyone who wrote in to me, I believe.
I'll look again.
Okay, I'll look again too. I just made a note. No, I do want to say something about that. So the voter list is every adult member over 26. Every adult member over the age of 26 from our Breeze database. We sent a separate test email to that group from the group that gets all of the board emails. I did hear back from a small number of individuals, and I believe I responded to everyone who wrote into me and made sure that we added those people individually to the list. It was a very small number, which gives me great confidence, and we put the call out multiple times. Did you receive the test email? Did you receive the test email? So I have confidence in the list, but if for some reason you did not receive the email, write to me, and we will investigate it. Kathy and I are going to be standing by tomorrow. We will investigate anything. I can look people up by name and see if there's an email listed. If for some reason there's an email listed, but one didn't receive it, we can make sure that you do get a ballot. So I don't think it's a problem. Yeah.
Jamie, how is the congregation treating children of us ourselves? Many people have family memberships and our children are over 26, but they're not directly connected to the congregation. Are they being deemed members or non-members for this purpose?
I mean, if they're in the database and we had an email for them, then we emailed them, included them. If they were on the list but we did not have an email for them, they did not get the test email. So, you know, it's been a challenge, I will just say, because Kathy is new to the database and Donna is new to the database and I don't know the database. So we have worked together as closely as we can to put together a solid voting list. If there's anybody who feels they should have gotten a ballot and didn't, please do contact us and we will be responsive to that.
I found both of your messages in my junk mail, just so you know.
Both of my
Yeah,
messages
and
from the board.
The only reason I knew was because Bruce said, well, did you get the thing from Jamie? No. I mean,
Well, that's strange because it came from the board. It did not come from me personally.
whatever.
But
You're-
anyway, look in your junk email. If you don't see something, do look in your junk email before you contact me for sure. But I've not heard that as a widespread issue. Mhm.
Jamie, I just want to say everything you sent was incredibly it was incredibly cogent and clear, and thank you for presenting it such a user-friendly way.
I just wanted to comment on the question, Josh, you raised, and about, my understanding is that anyone under any adult is under 26, people have to join by themselves as members. So our families that were part of this, and if they have adult children, they're not considered members unless they join Adat Shalom separately, right? So that just...
Well, that may be, I mean, again...
They may
yeah.
end up somehow on a list, but I don't know, I'd be a little surprised.
Yeah. I mean, my children who are over 26 are not on the Adat Shalom mailing list, so I don't know if there are children. Yeah. Yeah. Yes. So the list is adult heads of household and spouses, and anyone else over 26 who is a member. That's how I understand the list to have been configured. Yeah. Stu.
I presume the definition of member is a household, so, no?
No.
Oh, it's individuals within the house. So
Yeah.
if you're a married couple, both people will be getting...
Both members of a couple should have ballots. And in fact, there were couples listed where the same email was listed for two people. May I use you as an example? So I wrote to Anne and Bob and said, when I saw the list and I saw they had the same email, I said, I'm presuming that you would each like to vote. Please send me a second email. And they did, and I edited that list. I will say, just numbers-wise, it's something like 689 names and addresses that are listed on the voter list that I uploaded into our account. And so it feels pretty full, it feels pretty right. And I did eyeball it, and I don't know everyone, of course, but I know a lot of the names. It looked pretty strong to me. It's not to say someone might not be on there. Judy, I'm just worried because I know we emailed and I don't know if we closed the loop, so make sure we do. Let's make sure. Okay, and I will double check it. I will double check that. Yeah, Bruce.
If one starts voting and then decides not to submit it but go to the next day because you have a question they want to talk to you, is that possible or not?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay, so that means you have to go back and open it up again?
Well, I haven't, you'd open the link. I don't know whether your choices will be retained or not. That's the thing I don't know. But you can certainly, as long as until you submit, you can do whatever you want. And you must submit before midnight. Turns into a pumpkin at midnight.
I just want to remind people that Jamie is not personally responsible for the Google Analytics algorithm as to where your email goes. However, she has been contacted by a Nigerian prince, and some of you will receive opportunities. Can we just have another, you know, my hand of Jamie Banks, Jacqueline Greenstein, Ben Schneider, Alex Trackman, Shauna Wagger, and Emily Young. Thank you. A few words from me before we go. For a person of words, it's actually taken me quite a while to figure out what it is that I want to say. And it's possible that it's still in process. But the truth is, without any coordination whatsoever, what Mark said at the beginning was that Adat Shalom is a place of passion, and it's the reason that I wanted to come here. The thing you should know is that when I speak to other clergy members, one of the things I hear are questions about how do I get more people into services, how do I get more people to volunteer, why aren't our seats full? The problems we have here is that the social hall is too loud during Oneg for most of our eardrums. We actually can't let more people into First Fridays, And our biggest problem is that we don't make enough space for people's individual contributions, and that all of you are demanding more. And that makes Adat Shalom special. It's a place of passion, and I came here because I'm a passionate person, and it was a place where I felt at home. I want to say that that passion is deeply, deeply important. In the mythology of the Jewish people, we call that passion chesed, which some people will translate as love. And it's true that chesed can be gentle, but the thing I want to remind you is that a chassid is a passionate, devoted person. And so really when we talk about chesed is we're talking about the kind of love that animates a person to follow their principles, to do what's right they think is right in the world, to stand on protest lines, to foment for justice, to make good kinds of trouble, right? To get into arguments about what the right thing is to do. This is a passionate place. And I think that the last months have borne that out. But the thing that I've realized after the last 2 years, which are harder than any 2 years that I've ever experienced, and harder, I would say, and following after are the hardest 10 years that many of us have ever known, is that I've discovered that passion is a two-sided coin. And if many of you want to call it as well, a double-edged sword, which is to say that the other side of passion is anger, impatience, frustration, and the willingness, I think, to put people beneath principle and to run full speed towards what we think is right, but sometimes with others in the way. And if you want to know what I've been thinking about over the last few months, it's about that, because I am guilty of that. That is who I am. My internal emotional thermometer is set as something like 3 million degrees. And on the one hand, I'm appreciative for it in certain moments, and the other, I wish it weren't so. But when I came here, I was sort of like, oh, these are my people. Deeply passionate people, some of us got bullied in high school, who wanted to make the world a better place. The thing I want to say, though, is that, as I've said before, and as I wish to write to the community, I just need to find exactly the right words. There are ways in which I've let my passion get the better of me, and some of you have suffered for it, whether in this room or not. And to those of you, I again want to say, I acknowledge my responsibility for this, and I am sorry. There are people in this community I know because you're telling other people but not telling me that there are still feelings and experiences that you're holding that have stuck with you. Please come tell it to me. Because an apology isn't something that makes everything better, but there's no repair without ones. Tshuva is a process of apology and amends, and those two things need to come together. And so if you are holding, please come share. At this point in time, I've spoken to more than 30 members of this community to be able to ask either if there is what I have done wrong, but also specifically for forgiveness, to hear your concerns, and to try to figure out a different way. You know, I'll tell you, by the way, that one of the things that the Kabbalah teaches us is that passion alone is actually dangerous, and it can set the world on fire. The passionate Shekhinah in the Kabbalah, in the Zohar, actually looks like the goddess Shiva, for those of you who know the Hindu mythology, right? She is a fearsome sight to behold. And though the principle of deen, which means something like judgment or rules or confining, gets a bad rap, one of the first things that our mystics tell us is actually that passion and judgment need to be in conversation with one another, because passion unbridled, like I said, sets the world on fire. It turns out, by the way, that there is a path of restraint, of boundaries, of guardrails, because I think that ultimately what we need as a community is not actually to give up our passion. Where would we be without it? How would we be the people that we need to be in this world without the deep and passionate intensity that we feel? Is it that we're supposed to somehow go through a personality reformat? Will that somehow allow us to weather and navigate the slings and arrows of outrageous Trumpism and more in a better fashion? I don't know. The problem is that we're supposed to change ourselves 100%, but nonetheless change I must. And one of the things I plan on doing over the next months, and already have, is to hold a mirror up to myself and to see what it is that I see, the good and the bad, the sweet and the ugly, and to ask for advice on what must change. But the thing that I want to say to all of you is that the mirror that I intend to hold up is a big one. And my invitation to all of us is to step into the frame with me. Look, I want to tell you something about being a rabbi and being a rabbi of a community, which is that at any point in time, when a contract comes up or contract comes due, a community has a prerogative to say to the rabbi, thank you, but no more. And that is a choice that this community can make. And when a contract comes up and a contract comes due, Yael and I could say thank you, but it's time for us to move on. And that is a choice that we can make as well. But it's not a choice that we have to make, and certainly not to make one right now. Because one of the things that's become clear to me is though that there are problems that I want to work on, I would caution any of us from saying that this one person, whoever it is, especially, by the way, if you don't see me as the problem, but maybe identify it somewhere else, that any one person in this situation was the reason that it fell apart. My guess is that if I left tomorrow, all things being equal, I don't know that the problems that were at the heart of where we were in this unique situation would go away. My sense is that they would find their own way to persist. And by the way, this does not speak ill of this community. Every good Jewish community operates with a certain level of productive dysfunction. That's just what synagogues are like. But we were in a difficult situation in impossible times under circumstances that we are not prepared for. I was not prepared for the resurgence of violent anti-Semitism into this world. Years ago, I would have told you that getting an email that told me that I was fomenting anti-Semitism and committing genocide, fomenting anti-Semitism one day and committing genocide the next would have had me on my bed for weeks. And now it's just Tuesday, because that's the situation that we're in. And if we cannot sort of step back and find perspective to say that in all of this situation, every single person who was involved, especially those who are no longer here, were good human beings who are trying to do their best for the synagogue. If we can't say that, then a really massive part of the process has been missed, and a piece of the solution will evade us. Everybody was trying their best for this community, and it got really hard. It's not mistakes were made. Please don't hear me as using the passive voice. Oh, mistakes were made, and therefore responsibility shouldn't be taken. What I'm saying is that there were a lot of mistakes to go around. And perhaps we were naive to understand that the brokenness of the world could not make it into our synagogue. Beyond the individual actions that were taken, the thing that keeps me up at night most is that this is a place of refuge for so many of us. It is our safe space. And the thing that I've heard over and over and over again is questioning that safety. And it's for that reason, by the way, that I feel a deep and tremendous and terrible responsibility for what has happened here. Both for the parts that I think, yes,